And we are back with another episode. This time around we are going to talk about Makoto Furukawa's Catch Me If You Can. Quite easily one of the quickest CDs to become one of my favorites this year. Honestly, I had expectations, but Makoto Furukawa quickly exceeded those. And in this episode, let's revisit my opinions that I shared in an episode of Monthly Review, the big one that released recently, encompassing everything that was released in April, May and June 2025. And by the end of it all, I'm going to talk a little bit about the CD itself, unscripted yet again, but without the video. So we are going to get a mix of an audio only and then a video and audio podcast for you. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and of course, let's start this episode of Seiyuu Lounge. Welcome to Seiyuu Lounge. I'm your host Vanessa, and in this episode let's talk about Makoto Furukawa's Catch Me If You Can. Starting from this point, this is a viewable episode, and in the outro is not viewable, but I still have a ton of stuff to say and to talk about this CD a couple of days since I reviewed it, so it's going to be interesting. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the outro.
June was an amazing month. You can agree with me here. I hope so. I hope so. But yeah, you perhaps will know. We are going to talk about Makoto Furukawa's Catch Me If You Can. And this is quite possibly, and I'm going to not be shy about it, this is quite possibly the album of the year so far, to me. I know that I have yet to listen to other albums, and we are already in July, so we have Shuichiba's album as well, we have Gakuto Kajibara's CD as well. We may have other CDs that may become contenders for Best Album of the Year, but so far, my pick is Makoto Furukawa's Catch Me If You Can. If you listen to this album, you will notice that there are a ton of differences going on in here when it comes to the vocal end. Makoto Furukawa actually ensured that he is now in full control of his vibrato, so you no longer have his vibrato appearing all over the place. Of course, he populates the song with a little bit of vibrato because it adds a really nice flair to his performances, and it adds a little bit of dimension to what he's performing to not sound too flat all the time or too standard all the time. So he adds that as a flourish to his performances. And he's using that in a smarter way, I feel. At the same time, he has been developing that falsetto that I've talked about plenty of times before. It started with that concept single, and it has come to this release, and here I can feel that this is a new era type of comment that he made, that he's starting a new chapter in his career as a solo artist. This feels like a new chapter. This one feels. At the same time, when I was listening to this CD, there's a good blend of rock with jazz and R&B, which, mind you, when R&B music started playing, I had to stop, gush about it, get a little blushed because of it, and then I pressed play and gushed more about it. The song is really good. But let me tell you that that's quite possibly one of the sexiest R&B songs that I've ever heard by a male Seiyuu artist. And he effortlessly nails that vibe because he has that deep baritone, almost sweet, mixed with an alluring twist to it. So it sounds a bit playful, which fits really well with the sexy vibe. And since he has that low, warm voice, it can also sound really sweet when he wants to. This song has a good balance between both vibes, between the sexy and the caring, or let's say the gentle, romantic side. It's unbelievably good. But yeah, you have from acid jazz, because he starts the CD with acid jazz. He goes to a real fast-paced rock song. Catch Me If You Can is crazy fast as a song. I felt that I was really chasing someone throughout the song. It is relentless, the rhythm, relentless. I was a bit exhausted when the song wrapped up, not because the song is bad, but because the song is so intense and the tempo is so fast. It was really that type of song that really will drain you, unless you are the type of person that listens to fast-paced music and you get energized. In that case, you may have a ton of energy right now because of that song. I'm the opposite. The usually fast-paced songs really drain me. Not in a bad sense, but really that intensity tires me a little bit. But yeah, I really love Kuchizuke wa Silent Peace. That's an opening track like no other opening track that I've heard in the last couple of years, I feel. It is fancy, it is jazz, but he's not being overly intense in the jazz sound, and he's not being overly purist about the sound. So this time around we have pop mixing with jazz and rock, and you have a really nice loungy acid jazz vibe going on in here. The performance itself is quite dramatic. It is Makoto Furukawa's trademark when it comes to jazz music, so it is still quite dramatic, and it fits the song, really. I enjoyed that. But you have that Hightail It as well is a really nice song that fits almost a jazz bar kind of vibe. Once again, I like when songs transport you to places, and this song for me transported me to a really warm, fancy place that I wanted more of. Honestly, I wanted more of. So yeah, that's that, and I feel that also the last track in this CD is a kind of an emo rock tune. Emo rock is something that he has been playing around a little bit. Emo rock, post-rock, he has been playing around with it for a couple of releases, and that has actually suited him pretty well. I like that his voice naturally fits rock music. You can tell that he nails that music genre, he loves that music genre. From the way he's performing, you can tell that there is excitement and passion there, which is always a positive, and ends up with performances that you want to listen to more and more again, and I feel that overall Catch Me If You Can is an amazing release. Honestly, it is my album of the year so far. Once again, there are a couple of artists that I feel are going to release new albums by the end of the year. Mamoru Miyano sounds like he's going to release a full album by the end of the year. Probably we are going to have an EP by Soma Saito, and finally it is a conceptual EP to break a bit the curse of fictions not really performing up to standard. And maybe we'll have Yumuchi releasing an album by the end of the year, perhaps. So there are a couple of big players that may release a full-length album by the end of the year. I reckon even Shotawai can release a full-length album, and coming from Collage, I'm expecting big things. So we may have a really interesting battle for album of the year, at least on my end. I don't know about you, you may already have different albums that you're already thinking, wow, this is the best one of the year, so shut up, Vanessa. And I have yet a ton of 2D music to check, so there may be some surprises by the end of the year when it comes to the list of best songs, best albums, and even artists of the year, I feel.
And as you can tell, I'm quite excited about the CD. Easily one of the biggest highlights in 2025 so far. For me, it's a tough battle between Makoto Furukawa and Serenity up until now, although, let me preface this, of course, I haven't listened to much of the music that was released this year. I had to pause a little bit my reviews, so I have been away for a while, so maybe there are other CDs that are quite amazing or even more amazing than Makoto Furukawa's Catch Me If You Can, but honestly, for me, this is currently album of the year, unless someone crazy does something, let's say, impressive by the end of the year. You already are understanding who I may be referring to, who is currently in the studio recording another album. We don't know if it is an EP or a full-length album. Everything indicates that it will be an EP, so be ready if it is a conceptual EP. But until then, Makoto Furukawa is actually leading the way for me for album of the year, honestly. It's not really that difficult for me to actually bring him to the top of the list, especially when something is as well accomplished as this EP is. I was not the happiest when the previous conceptual singles were released. I feel that they were a bit below the quality that I was expecting of him. I was worried for a second that Atlantis would take him in this new chapter in his career, take him towards a more pop-oriented sound, which is something that I don't like at all. and I feel it would completely stray him away from what he loves doing, which is singing rock music and jazz, and to put him performing just pop music, generic pop music, would be a bit underwhelming with a voice like that, a talent like that, and even a passion like that, to actually steering him to a music genre in which he didn't fit. And although he can perform pop music, we already know, because of countless 2D music projects in which he sings like an angel, he's amazing in pop music as well. But you know what I mean when I say that Makoto Furukawa actually excels whenever it is jazz music or rock music. However, in this CD we also have R&B, and I feel that is the highlight for me by itself. Although I love the good balance, this time around we get a really solid balance between rock music, emo rock, and R&B, serving as a sort of an intermission, and an awesome intermission, let me tell you. So I'm really happy about this EP, and I feel that everyone should give it a listen. Makoto Furukawa has actually improved a whole lot his control over the vocals. He no longer employs the vibrato as powerfully as he did before or all the time. He now has that control to know when and where to use the vibrato to actually make the performances more dynamic. They are still theatrical, impactful, really dramatic at times, but he now has a different control over his vocals and the skills that he has, and this is quite impressive to check, and especially to listen to previous CDs and go to this one and you see the difference. For example, between Room of No Name and Catch Me If You Can, the difference is staggering in terms of the quality. Catch Me If You Can is a much more superior CD in terms of the quality of the vocals alone. I'm not even going to talk about the instrumentals, I'm talking about the vocals alone. From Room to No Name to Catch Me If You Can, the difference is staggering. Catch Me If You Can is much more superior, and I love the Room of No Name, so this already says a lot about this CD. I feel that the consensus among fans is that this one is quite amazing. Makoto Furukawa actually exceeded himself when it comes to the performances, so I'm really happy to see that. Thankfully, another CD that I bought has really good quality and awesome music, and even a music video to watch and everything else, and the making of. I'm quite excited to dive into that. I have yet to dive into that, but let me tell you, I've already reviewed, of course, as you can tell by the video review that you got. I've already written the CD. Either that is already on the website or it will be on the website in the next coming days. Please be patient because I'm really busy at the moment, but they will eventually will come to the website, all the reviews that I have been writing but I haven't been talking about. So there are plenty of reviews yet to share with you. Some will arrive fairly late because the CD is already dropped last year or 2 years ago or something like that, but they will arrive on time. So I feel that this is all about Makoto Furukawa's Catch Me If You Can. I was quite excited about this CD. I'm still quite excited about this CD. Honestly, I was super surprised with R&B music coming to the CD, but I was so happy to find him exploring a different, not necessarily a different music genre, but a different music genre as a solo artist to explore and to nail it so well. He has the voice to nail R&B music easily. His voice is incredibly warm and incredibly alluring, but he can also have a ton of class and gentleness to his voice. And that song, which is a sort of a romantic, gentle R&B ballad in some way, it fits really well with his voice, it fits really well with his skills. So yeah, I was really excited about the CD. Thank God the CD exceeded my expectations beyond everything that I had set for it, so I'm happy. In case you haven't watched, I have on the YouTube channel the unboxing of the limited edition with the Blu-ray for you to check if you want to see how the CD is, if you are thinking about getting the CD and you don't know what to expect. I dive into it in a 7 or 8 minute video, so you can check everything that comes with the CD and all the goodies and everything else. So that's all from me. I would love to know from you which is your favorite song in the CD, and have you noticed the difference in quality when it comes to Makoto Furukawa's performances, because it is easily noticeable for me, of course, but I would say I'm a bit more sensitive than most people. I feel that unless you are a massive Makoto Furukawa fan, especially his music, not necessarily his voice in anime, but his music, unless you are a massive fan of his singing style and you are really familiar with how he sings, you will not notice those differences. But if you are a fan and you listen to his music, have you noticed the differences from the previous singles, or even comparing with Room of No Name? Have you noticed how much he has grown as an artist? Because he has a falsetto right now, which is crazy. You are seeing and hearing a baritone singer tapping into those high notes that you would deem impossible for a singer with his vocal range, and he's doing it. It's amazing. So yeah, of course, if you watch this episode on YouTube and you have yet to subscribe, please subscribe to the channel. It doesn't take too long and you can get much more content like this, and you don't need to actually be searching for the videos appear on your timeline as well. If you enjoyed this video, you can leave a thumbs up as well. If you are on a streaming platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. It's fairly simple to do. You just need to leave those stars there. If you want to give some feedback, for example, on Apple Podcasts, you can give some feedback. It helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male Seiyuu artists. And I feel that everyone listening to this podcast is actually interested in that, for more people to discover and find male Seiyuu artists and fall in love with the quality that they have as artists. And of course, this was all from me. I'll see you guys in the next one.